It's time for another tale from the glass-guarded world, with Brian as Paxton the human cleric, Ashley as Tara Dane the human fighter, Andy as Finn Mac Caspinner the gnome wizard, Danielle as Athelflad the halfling rogue and monk, and me, Mike, as the DM. In the previous episode, Tara and Paxton rode across a lake, were attacked by hairy blobs, and climbed up a cliff to reach an old monastery, with the aid of its sole remaining inhabitant. Athelflad had been stranded there for years, and Paxton and Tara offered to row her back to shore with them. As he prepared to leave, however, Paxton found a door labeled Observers Only. This is a good time to remind you, the listener, of what observers are. In the distant past of this world, there were beings known as observers, who were just like everyone else except for three things. First, they had a gem embedded somewhere in their skin. Second, they would sometimes enter a trance-like state. Third, they were thought to live long lives, though they were not immortal. They were often found at big historical events, such as battles, assassinations, and scientific discoveries. They seldom took part in such events, but rather merely observed them. This caused some people to believe that observers were the cause of harmful events, and eventually they were hunted down. It is generally believed that none have survived. For more background on this campaign world, go back and listen to episode 0. At the same time that Tara and Paxton were exploring the island in the Dead Lake, Finn was studying in the Wizard Library, back in the town of Newtower, and was surprised to find himself in a conversation with Atulf, the wizard in a gray cloak who had been following the party for weeks. Atulf told Finn that he worked for the Keepers of Arcane Knowledge, also known as the Magistracy, a nation ruled by an oligarchy of wizards. The Keepers had been warned that two people from the island city of arrival, Tara and Finn, would be investigating areas in or near Magistracy territory. Atulf's job is to help protect the many secrets of the wizard nation, so he had been following them to keep an eye on them. Atulf had decided that Tara and Finn presented no threat, so he said he would stop following them. He also warned of an impending storm. Back on the island, Paxton decided he had to know what was behind that door. He gripped the door handle and pushed, but was suddenly overcome with a magical force and fell unconscious. Will Tara, Athelflad, and Paxton be able to open the door? And why is Atulf so concerned about this incoming storm?
I try to open that door.
Oh, okay. All right, you grab the handle. I'd like you to make a Constitution check.
12.
Okay. Paxton, you get a splitting headache and fall flat on your back, and you are unconscious. And I don't know if you guys, I guess you guys are helping collect stuff.
So I'm not there, right?
Well, I guess at some point you walk by and notice that Paxton is just lying there unconscious on the ground in front of this door.
Oh no! And I that's where I know to myself, and I
By the way, you've touched the door handle before and never had that problem.
Oh, okay. I said, well, weird. That's weird. That's never happened to me before. But I do remember Dunstan was telling me that it could only be opened by the observers, I believe.
And you also notice that the door has moved just slightly, but it has not opened.
Ooh. And I'm standing there.
Am I here?
shocked.
What's that?
Am I here?
If she calls you over, you're there, I guess.
Yeah. I say, she said her name to
Tara.
me before. Right?
Yeah.
I shout, Tara, come here quick.
I hurry over.
Yeah, so Paxton's lying on the ground in front of this door that says observers only, and he is out cold, drooling a little bit maybe.
What happened?
He opened the door, and I've never seen anything like it before. You know, Brother Dunstan told me we could never open this door. Only the observers.
I opened the door.
All right, the door will not open. You grab the knob, and it's slightly ajar from where it was before, but it won't open any more than it already did. It seems totally immovable, as though it were made of stone. It just won't open, won't
I
move.
throw my shoulder against it.
Okay, make a strength check.
I got an 8.
No, it is not moving.
I look angrily at the door.
No, it's not moving.
Yeah, and it was the weirdest thing. I've never seen it. Even but he was able to open the door even just slightly, but he passed out.
All right, so Paxton, about then you come to. You have a terrible headache.
I look at him and I'm like, what happened?
You opened the door, and as soon as you opened the door, you were just jolted back, and you were out cold.
How'd you open the door?
I just grabbed the handle.
Do it again.
Okay, I do it again.
All right, make another Constitution check.
All right, this time before I do it, I'd like to cast guidance on myself, if that's possible.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to add a D4 to this check.
All right.
I
All right.
stand with my hands on my hips, waiting.
I look very, very focused as
All
I
right.
reach my hand towards this door, and 9.
All right, once again, Paxton suddenly falls backward, unconscious, and this time the door doesn't move. It's still slightly, just slightly, 5 millimeters moved from where it had been completely closed, but Paxton just falls backward.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I touch the handle again.
All right, nothing happens. And Paxton, you wake up quicker this time, and you have a splitting pain, this time at the back of your head. But nothing else happens.
I reach and feel around on the back of my head where the pain is coming from.
Nothing new at the back of your head.
Well,
I look very confused.
You hear Finn in the back of your head. 3rd time's the charm.
yeah, I feel like I really want to know what's in there. So I'm going to try one more time.
Okay. One more Constitution check.
Same thing with guidance. Nope.
All right. Once again, you fall down. This time you get up quicker again. And this time you get a feeling that there's something familiar about this kind of door, but you don't know why. And the door is not cooperating.
I'm very confused, but I'm taking mental notes. I'd also like to pick up any books that might be about observers.
Okay.
If there are any here. I'm thinking, though, that if there are any here, they're going to be inside that room.
There's some history books that might have a little bit about observers in them. So let's move on. The door, I'm afraid, doesn't do anything else interesting, and there isn't really much else of interest on the island. But you are able to. Is there anything else you want to do before you go?
I want to try to open the door.
Okay. What are you going to use? Strength check?
Yeah, let's use it.
All right.
Well, I have 0 for strength.
All right. Well, you could try.
Yeah. 17.
All right. You slam into the door with impressive force. You guys are sort of taken aback by how hard this tiny halfling just slammed herself into this door. And it does not move.
Oh, okay.
In fact, it feels like you just slammed into a rock wall.
Oh. So I'm a little sore and embarrassed.
In your shoulder there, yes.
Kind of coddle away.
Well, I don't know. It was an impressive attempt. In any case, the door is not moving. Maybe it's something you could try again some other time.
Yep.
Anything else anybody wants to do before you go?
I want to gather the remaining crops, what little we have for food supplies.
Pack them in a bag?
Yep. Any of the silver pieces, just possible for selling. Anything we can scrap by. Doubt it's going to overfill the boat.
Okay, you managed to collect, you've got some coins that the monks had taken in donations. No one's going to make use of them now, so
Yep.
You've got 35 silver pieces you can collect together, scrape up.
Okay, and what about the crops? How much food supply is
Let's
that?
just suppose that you have enough crops to make 30 days of rations.
Okay. And it's not going to overload the boat?
No.
Okay. I take that with me.
All right, you climb down to the boat, and it's still being bumped by creatures, but you've got your flaming torch.
Mm-hmm.
What's the plan?
All 3 of us sail back to the mainland, which
Okay.
is Denton, right?
No, the town nearby is New Tower,
New Town.
which wasn't there, or at least there wasn't much going on there when you last were off the island.
Okay.
All right, so you pour some of that liquid, you pour some of the cooking oil into the water and set it on fire, and use your your torch to help keep the creatures at bay, and they don't seem as interested in you now. And they leave you alone as you row back to the side of the lake. So you exit the lake, and the wind is definitely picking up. There's a storm that is coming, and so you head back to the town.
Is the water choppy?
Yes, actually, it's starting to. The wind from the west is starting to make the water rougher. So you march up the hill, climb over the hills and start walking east toward the town. And at some point along the way, you run into Finn, who is coming the opposite direction.
Actually, I was going to ask, can we have... I would have been using... I forgot to say this before, but we hadn't come back to me. I want to use the owl to look for them.
Oh,
so
great.
I'm going to have them, run into the owl first, and then just have the owl try to mimic to follow.
So as you're walking east, you notice there's an owl circling you in the late afternoon. A little strange time. It's a strange time for an owl to be out. But an owl is circling above you, and it lands in front of you and starts hopping around and looking back at you and rotating its head around backwards like owls do, and then hopping forward and looking back at you.
The storm is really weird.
Yeah, there's a weird storm. It makes owls do strange things. Eventually, the owl flies away, and you follow the general direction it's going, because that's the direction you're going anyway, and you encounter Finn with the owl sitting on his shoulder.
Hey, friends. Hey, new friend. What's your name?
Oh, I'm glad to see you. My name is Athelflaed. What's your name?
Hey, my name is Finn. And I kind of look at Tara like, is she with us?
Is she a friendly?
I nod my head.
Okay. Nice to meet you. What have you guys been up to today?
Oh, just battling hairy blobs, climbing up cliffs. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, what she said.
Well, that sounds like a normal day, I suppose. Tara?
There's a door we couldn't open. I'm pretty angry about it.
Oh.
Yeah, me too.
Well, the storm seems to be picking up. Why don't we go back to the inn and trade stories? I've had an odd day myself here.
Perfect. And can all of us fit in the boat? Just
If you wanted to. Yeah, it could hold all of you if you wanted to go back.
All right. So it's a 4-person boat.
All right, so you return close to dinner time. A light rain has begun to fall, and you notice that there are guards now posted all around the outside of the town, and there are wizards scattered among the guards.
Noticing this, can I suggest to the group, I learned some odd things today. Paxton, can we go meet at your inn rather than ours? And maybe we can discuss things over dinner there?
Certainly.
Okay.
So these guards are erecting wooden barriers between the buildings. As you approach some of these guards, you've got to go by them between the buildings to get into the town. One of the guards says, "Hey, you see anything out there? Any gray blobs moving around?"
One with hair?
No, hair? No, just gray blobs moving around out there in the rain.
No.
This kind of weather tends to bring them out, But if that storm hits, we may get another flood of them. They might be everywhere. We best be prepared.
Another?
Oh, yeah, it's happened before. If, there's enough rain, they come out. Dangerous.
Where they come from?
Good question. They seem to come from everywhere, like under rocks and out of, I don't know, caves maybe, or they come from all over the place.
I'm starting to wonder if they can climb, because I didn't really see them unless they were in the water.
No, they can't climb very well.
Right.
At least the ones that were, the hairy ones by the lake couldn't climb.
Okay, so I turn over to Tara and mention that to her, saying, I don't think they can climb, because I'd never seen them up the 90-foot cliff.
Well, they might not be able to cross the water either. That could also be maybe an explanation.
Yeah, maybe only hairy ones can swim. This is so confusing.
How often have you had this problem?
Oh, it's not often, once every few months. But this
for
storm...
how long?
Oh, a couple years.
Since the Gods River broke?
Oh, no, it's that these creatures started showing up, a little while after that, but we haven't had these mass invasions of them until recently. But only when it rains pretty heavily. But this storm looks bad. And the wizard standing next to this guard is looking to the southwest at the old temple. You may remember that I mentioned there's an abandoned temple southwest of the New Tower of the town. And he says, "The temple isn't going to survive another attack. They'll eat what's left of the wood. The roof will collapse, and that will bring the stone down. It's a real shame." But the guards look like they don't care. They don't view this as a loss. And they say, "Get yourselves inside and safe. If things get bad, you might be asked to help protect the town or even to evacuate. Be prepared. Fire works best, but you have to keep at it."
As we're walking inside, I want to ask the other wizard, "Say, was there anything of value in that temple, or does it have any significance?"
Maybe there was at some time, but not anymore. It's
Well,
just
what
a
was
ruin. It's just a ruin, that's all. There's graffiti and trash and such inside. But
Well-
it used to be the case that lots of people would go visit. Pilgrims would stop there, and then they would continue on to the island, or just stay by the lake, but that was long ago.
Well, okay. I guess we should go find somewhere to be safe. Is there anything else that you would suggest for us?
Athelflaed, do you know anything about that temple?
You know that that was in bad shape when you came through also.
Oh, okay. So
And-
I'm thinking of the timeline here.
Yeah, so when last time you came through, it was in ruins, although not as bad as it is now. And people still didn't visit it for anything. But it was abandoned for similar reasons to why the monastery was mostly abandoned. That is, the river broke. It no longer had properties that people thought were healthy. So people stopped visiting the area, including the temple near the town.
Should I do a history check to see if Dunstan possibly told me anything about anything that happened prior to that, or would he know?
Sure.
Okay.
You can do a history check.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I rolled a 14, so...
So, you remember Dunstan telling you that people used to come to the area because of the water of the river was thought to have healing properties, and sometimes it would indeed heal people. And there was, in fact, a network of healers and monks and clerics who would work in this area, not just helping people get to the river, but also helping them in other ways with medical care. And once the river broke, people stopped coming to the area, and so they all sort of abandoned the temple and other facilities for helping people in need. It's just they spread out to all over the world instead of concentrating here. But beyond that, you don't know anything special about the temple having any particular special properties or history or anything like that. It was just a gathering place.
Okay.
You might have heard some inkling that in the distant past, it might have had something to do with some cultists, but you're not sure about that.
And in terms of the cult, I wouldn't know anything about the cultists based on...
You're not sure
my teachings.
what kind of cultists they were or what they were doing, whether they were cultists of foresight or something else. You're not sure.
Okay.
I waved them over towards the temple, just because I think it'd be a private place to talk.
The temple?
Something, yeah.
Okay.
Since something is going crazy up in this town, and I want to know it.
Looking warily at our new companion, not sure how much I should say. I let the group know. Well, whatever's going on that has something to do with the magistracy. Our friend in the great cloak and myself actually had a conversation today. He came and found us.
Really?
Yes.
What did he have to say to you?
Oh, it was quite interesting, I say as I look at our new friend, still not willing to say much. Sorry, I don't know you.
Yeah, and I say, do you want me to step aside? I don't mind if you guys need some privacy.
She's cool. I'll vouch for her, but I do think we need to get somewhere where we can all get more acquainted and maybe talk about things.
I point to the temple again.
Okay. Following Tara's lead, I just stand behind her and give her like the nod to lead.
So the temple is south or southwest of town, and it's a single solitary stone building. It has a wooden roof, and parts of the roof are still up, parts are not. And but mostly it's just the remaining stone, a grid of columns. And as you approach it, you can see there's graffiti carved all over it. And there's trash inside. It looks like people have maybe camped out inside it and not cleaned up. The graffiti has a variety of things. Says things like, foresight lives, and the gods have abandoned the world, and gods have mercy. Pray for the river's return. And the next one is of interest to you. It says, the first truth of foresight. I leave you these messages for your benefit. Heed them and you may yet survive, after so many others failed. You want me to read that again?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
The first truth of foresight. I leave you these messages for your benefit. Heed them and you may yet survive, after so many others failed. And the very next piece of graffiti that you notice says, foresight is a lie. And then there's another theme of a graffiti that says something like, the wizard's magic will burn us all, or the wizard's fire is going to destroy us.
So, is this something the monastery would know about typically being isolated?
No.
Okay. All right. So,
Cultists of foresight were not really something that the monastery was interested in.
okay.
Or I go ahead and tell Athelflaed. We ended up coming to your island because we came here to check out the river. But on our way here, we had this guy following us, and our friend Finn here apparently talked to him.
Oh, wow. What did he say?
Well, he said that, as we have suspected, he has been looking for us. He has been following you and I, Tara, since we came here. Apparently, he knew we were coming, and that's why he was already in town by the time that we arrived. So, he did not tell me what it is that he was guarding or what secret it was. Honestly, I was trying to get him to tell me so that we could go there after he told us not to, but he gave me no such information. He just said that he would only appear again if we found ourselves in the wrong spot. So let's pray that we find him again.
That is
Sounds
definitely
good.
interesting.
So I would say that from what I have learned while being here in town, the magistracy is in charge. It is Floria, what's her name? Florelia. Oh, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I couldn't read my notes. Florelia is apparently the wizard that is in charge of town, I would say, and he also gave me information that if we're looking into the river, we might go look into that wizard, Mun. So, I would say...
Wait a minute, did you say that the keepers are in charge of this town?
That's what I learned.
Is this not still the Free Cities?
You're right. They are running into the territory of the Free Cities, but they have taken control.
That's not right.
Who's Mun?
He seems to be a wizard that has been around for quite a long time. I used to know him, at least in my studies from books, from old books, that his name was Mun the Great, but I've been told that people generally know him as Mun the Immortal now. It seems that he's been around for quite a while. I would say if we want to find information about him, and if we want to find maybe information about this cult, first let's get someone on our side. Let's go back into town. Even if we can't secure a meeting with Florelia, let's try to help the keepers with whatever's going on tonight. Because at the very least, they'll be needing guards, patrols, they'll be needing bodies. Let's be those bodies, get some favor, and then go ahead and talk with Florelia after the night is through.
Yeah.
Paxton.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Paxton, you notice in the distance, while everyone is talking, a flash of lightning, and you hear some rumbling, and the wind picks up, and the rain gets stronger.
Sounds like the storm's here.
And in fact, it doesn't take long. With the wind blowing faster and faster, the storm is moving quickly toward you. Have you ever seen like a sheet of rain move toward you across like a parking lot? Yeah, that's what you see moving toward you very quickly.
I guess we should go into the town's fortifications and help out. That way maybe someone will trust us.
I will go and help the wizards. If you want, you guys can split and help the guards and see what information we can get. Because if you are right that this used to be the Free Cities, so let's see how and why the magistracy is moving in if we can.
Got it.
So you step outside the temple, and surrounding the temple are a bunch of gray blobs.
Okay.
And they are inching their way toward the temple.
I draw my sword.
All right.
Do I still have a torch?
If you want to have a torch, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you probably put it out at some point, but
Yeah.
you could relight it again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Do you have more than one?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
you could probably. Yeah, you could have more than. I mean, if you have a dungeoneering kit or an explorer's kit, I think they have torches in them as well.
Yeah.
They do.
Yep.
Yeah,
Alright.
I get my shield out and I spark up a torch.
Let's roll for initiative. I'll go through everyone. So, Paxton. What's your initiative?
5.
Finn?
18.
Tara?
2.
Athelflaed?
15.
And they got a 10. The first person to go is Finn. You can see there are at least 5 gray blobs moving their way toward this building that you're in.
Okay. Looking around, we are near the door leading into the building, and
The building is really just a bunch of columns supporting a wooden roof, so there isn't a front door. It's more of an open structure.
Okay, so yeah, there's no way for us to bottleneck them.
Not easily. You could use those columns to restrict how many can get at you at a time. So, for example, If you imagine 4 columns, if you put yourselves in the middle of those 4 columns, there's only 4 directions they can come at you from instead of, say, 8 directions. But there isn't, you're right, there's no single bottleneck that you can use.
Okay. In that case, I let go of my concentration for a second, let the backpack fall behind me, and to just test the waters, I'm going to go ahead and stand a little bit behind my 2 friends in heavy armor and go ahead and shoot a firebolt at the nearest blob.
All right. You shoot a firebolt. Make your attack roll.
All right. So, nope, wrong page. There we go. 11.
11. It misses.
Okay. Yeah, I shoot the fireball, but not really sure how big the distance or how much they can move. I barely grazed them through the top of the head.
It did not.
Top of the blob.
It just barely singed it. It didn't seem to bother the creature. You were close, and they're not real nimble. You just slightly missed.
Okay.
Next is Athelflad. What would you like to do?
I march towards the blobs and start trying to intimidate them with fire.
All right. You start waving your torch around.
Yep.
Do you want to actually attack them and intimidate, or just try to intimidate them?
Attack.
All right.
I'm thinking I might lose my rapier short sword if I stab it, so...
Maybe.
I just start trying to blunt force smack it with the...
With the torch.
With the torch.
All right.
I get... a 6.
No. It actually pulls itself away from the torch when the torch gets close.
Okay.
And that brings us to the blobs. So the blob next to you, Athelflad, attempts to club at you with a big pseudopod that reaches out of it. And your armor class is 12, is that right?
15.
15. Yes, I'm sorry, 15. So you nimbly jump out of the way.
Okay.
As this giant pseudopod slowly swings toward you. And another one moves slowly up the step of the side of the temple and attempts to swing at Terra, and it's so slow you easily just bat it aside with your shield. And another one moves toward Paxton. Oh my god. It makes a critical hit.
Oh no.
Somehow that shield just never seems to do what it ought to do.
It just makes me a target.
It clubs you. It is not attempting to grapple you, at least not right now, as the previous blob that you fought had tried to do. It just smacks you. And it does 4 points of damage.
I can live with that.
And the 5th blob is moving around the side to try to get to Finn, who is in the back, but it's too slow to get there right now. So that brings us back to Paxton. Your turn.
All right, I want to cast Sanctuary on myself.
Okay. They all have to make a wisdom save. What's the DC?
13.
So the one on you in particular, since it's trying to hit you.
Mm-hmm.
It... 13?
Mm-hmm.
It fails, and suddenly seems to lose interest in you.
Yay.
All right, and it is Terra's turn.
I am going to attack the blob that attacked me by just stabbing at it with my longsword. I got a 20. Nat 20.
Natural 20.
Indeed.
Critical hit.
Alright, and for damage I rolled a 6.
And?
3. And then I get to do it again?
Yep.
Okay. So 9 plus 17 total.
17?
Yes.
Holy cow. All right. You.
Wait, that was damage?
That was damage.
Damn.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. So Terra rears back with her sword after easily batting aside the pseudopod and plunges it deep into this creature. And the creature shudders. It's not dead, but you have definitely dealt it a serious wound.
With my free action, I tell anyone if you're feeling hurt, come near me.
All right,
Okay.
and that brings us back to Finn.
I'm going to use my move action to move my my owl near Terra.
All right.
And then from there, well, can I place it like how are we are we sending in such a way to where I can place the owl somewhere near Tara and Paxton?
Yes.
Yes?
I'm thinking
Okay.
Tara and Paxton are actually next to each other. Athelflaed has stepped out a little bit ahead of them to hit the first blob. But yes.
Okay, so I'll do that, and then while still standing behind the group, I'll go ahead and do one more firebolt towards the one that Tara has already damaged.
All right.
Okay. 9.
No.
No damage.
No.
Okay.
I'm afraid the firebolt this time just sort of glances off of it. It's too wet. It doesn't do enough damage to actually harm the thing.
Okay.
So that brings us to Athelflaed.
So if I'm too far away to do
So
any damage to that.
actually, it's actually kind of behind you.
Okay.
And that means it is adjacent to Tara, which means you could use a sneak attack on it
Okay.
if you wanted to.
All right, I go ahead and use a sneak attack, which is 1d6.
Well, you have
So I
to
gotta
first roll to hit.
Okay. Roll to hit. 7.
I'm afraid it doesn't have really a front or a back, so it just kind of pulls away from your. You're attacking with the torch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it pulls away from your torch. All right, and that brings us to the creatures again. Tara, there's one attacking you, and it rolls a 1. Our first critical fumble, which means I need to look up on the fumble table. We're going to use a fumble table. Would anyone like to roll the fumble for it, or shall I roll? I'll roll, it doesn't matter.
It's your creature. You should.
Yeah, I should roll. The creature, Tara, that is striking at you, it sort of pulls itself up in a giant, almost like a standing creature, pulls itself up and tries to sort of fall on you and strike at you that way, but it ends up, you just step aside and it ends up just falling over. And it is, for a moment, it counts as prone. All right, and prone means that its movement is basically cut in half unless it stands up and ends the condition. The creature has disadvantage on attack rolls, and an attack roll against the creature has advantage if you're within 5 feet of it. Okay? So it has just knocked itself prone, which is a little weird for a blob, but basically it's just put itself in an undesirable position. And the one that's attacking Paxton. Now, Paxton, you are now next to Tara, which means that, Tara, your defensive ability now applies to him, right?
Yes, it does.
Which means it has disadvantage on attacks on Paxton. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. All right. And you are missed by the blob that is attempting to strike you. The next one is attacking Athelflaed. And Athelflaed again nimbly jumps out of the way as it attempts to swing a giant pseudopod at her. And then the last one has moved around into position near Finn, behind the rest of you, but it can't quite do anything this round. So next round, unless Finn runs away, it will be able to attack him. And that brings us to Paxton.
I'm going to cast Shield of Faith on Finn, which is going to give him a +2 bonus to AC for the next 10 minutes.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I need to remember that Finn's AC is temporarily
14.
14.
It's almost good.
That's not bad. Tara, what are you going to do?
I am going to attack the prone blob.
All right, you have advantage.
Okay. Alright, I got a 23.
That is definitely a hit.
Alrighty. And I rolled a 4 for damage.
With a disgusting squishing sound, the blob suddenly loses its cohesion, and the insides flow outward, and it just spreads out across the ground.
Was there anything inside of it?
Not that you can tell in the darkness and the rain at the moment.
Okay.
And that means it is back. We are back to Finn.
I am going to.
So you have a blob that is moving up on you, is going to attack when on its next turn.
Okay. So, I'm going to leave the owl alone for a second then. I'm going to move myself back about 15 feet.
Okay.
Well, if I move back about 5 feet and use Burning Hands, are there multiple blobs I can hit, or would I only be hitting the one?
Just the one. Unless
Okay.
you want to move somewhere else and cast Burning Hands. If you move next to Paxton, there are 2 of them you could strike with Burning Hands.
Alright, I'll do that. I'll trust my friend with the large shield. So
All right.
I'm going to move near him, and then from like standing right next to him. Well, I'm a small creature, so I can stand the same with 5 feet area, right?
You can.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stay on the same spot that he is, and then try to cast Burning Hands towards
Okay.
the 2 that are in his direction.
So they need to make a saving throw.
Correct. And the difficulty for that saving throw is 13, including the penalty for being a Magistry Wizard.
Okay, and is that a Constitution saving throw? Or
That's a good
Dex?
question. Dex. It's Dex.
Dex. Okay. They're not good at Dex. All right. It fails. So I need you to roll your damage. Actually, that's one of them. One of them fails. The other one succeeds. So roll your damage.
Okay. So the one that succeeded still takes half damage, and
That's
I
right.
roll 3d6.
That's right. Yes.
Damn. I got 16.
16. All right.
Minus 2 for the damage penalty, so 14.
14. All right, so that's on the one, well, that's not all of them, right? So the one that saved is still alive. The one that did not save, it suddenly, and that was the one that was in front of Paxton, it suddenly just goes up in flames and stops moving. So that one just is incinerated. And the other one looks like it got singed, but is not destroyed.
Okay, but it only took the 7 then, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Actually, it looks like it may have taken more than 7. It looks like it must be vulnerable to fire. The one that did not save looks like it took quite a bit of damage.
Okay.
And that brings us to Athelflaed. So let me summarize the situation. There is one dead blob in front of that had tried to attack you. That one is in front of you. And then there's the one that Tara killed. There's the one that Finn just burned up. And then there is another one that had tried to sneak behind and attack Finn, but is now behind you with no one to attack. And then there was a 5th blob, and you're not sure where it went.
Okay, well, I turn around to the one that's behind me, and seeing that it's vulnerable to stabbing,
And fire, yes.
Yeah, I use my short sword.
Okay.
Go after it with my short sword,
Great.
which is attack bonus of 5. I roll a 17.
That's
so
a hit.
22. Yep. And then D6. I get a 6 plus 3 piercing, so 9.
That one has been previously injured, and it is not looking good. It is still alive. It's been burned and stabbed, but it is still alive. And that brings us to the blobs. So that blob decides to try to grapple you. But again, you nimbly jump out of the way. You don't need to do anything. This is a special grapple attack that you don't need to oppose. But it rolled so badly that it doesn't even matter.
Oh.
That means that the next one, the one that was going to attack Finn, comes up and tries to move up behind Tara, but it won't be able to do that this round. It will do that and try to attack next round. And then there is a 5th blob that you see is now trying to digest the roof of the building.
Oh.
It doesn't look like it's at all interested in you. It's just trying to eat the wood. And the next to go is Paxton.
So since I have Sanctuary on myself, I think that,
Yeah, if one of them wants to attack you, it has to try to save.
right. And I will lose my Sanctuary protection if I attack any of them.
Correct.
But I'm thinking I don't attack them. I maybe just step back and do something to get their attention, to draw them all towards me so that you can all be out of harm's way and attack them from behind.
Well,
So-
Sanctuary means they're not interested in you. If you try to draw their attention, they just kind of go, whatever.
Okay. Well,
You could heal someone. You could start a fire somewhere. I don't know what you want to do.
does anyone look pretty hurt?
Just
I'm
you.
Oh boy. Let's see. I am going to cast guidance on Athelflaed then.
All right.
Which basically it means that any check that you make, you add a d4 to it.
Any skill check or ability check.
All right. Is the building? How tall is the building again?
The building's about 15 feet tall.
Okay.
At the sides, 20 feet in the middle. The next person's turn, though, is Tara.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm going to go for the injured one that Athelflaed
Right?
had attacked.
It's in very rough shape.
And I'm going to also treat it to a nice stabbing. I got a 20, unnatural.
A natural 20?
Unnatural.
Unnatural. All right. Yes, you've hit it.
Nice.
It's going down.
All right, and I rolled a 9.
Yes, it is. Again, it sort of loses its cohesion. The innards flow outward, and it is no longer a threat. We are back to Finn. There are 2 blobs left. The one that keeps trying to sneak around behind, and the one on the roof.
Trusting that my group members can go ahead and take care of the one on the floor, I'll start handling the one that's on the roof. So I'm going to go ahead and... I don't want to burn the cans to the roof. I'm just going to go ahead and firebolt the one on top.
Attack roll.
19.
That is a hit.
So 1d10 minus 2. That is a 7.
All right. You have hit it. The first attack on it with your spell, the watery coat and the rain on the outside of the creature makes the fire fizzle a little bit, but it definitely hurt it. It looks a little bit drier than it was before. You suspect that another hit would probably be more effective. And that's your first hit on them, one of them with a firebolt, right?
Yes, it is.
Right. And the next person to go is Athelflaed. So there's one blob that has been trying to sneak around behind Tara, and then there's one on the roof that just got singed.
How close am I to Tara?
You're just 10 feet.
Oh, okay. I have to be within 5 feet for sneak attack, though, right?
Yes, but you could move up next to it this round.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna move up within sneak attack range.
All right.
And then I can do sneak attack on the same turn?
Yes.
Okay.
You can move and attack.
All right, I'm gonna do sneak attack 1d6.
And don't forget you have your special ability. If you choose to invoke it, you can use it once per combat. You can call for Dunstan's wisdom if you want to.
Oh, okay.
And that's something where you just tell me if you want to do it, and then I roll on a table.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I want to go ahead and pull for it. Sorry.
Okay,
just looking
all right.
For notes.
Well, I have to pull up the table then. All right. So you cast your mind back to your days with Dunstan and Ned, and you think of all the wise things that he might have said to you that might be helpful. Roll D100. Roll 2 10-sided dice.
35.
35.
Yeah.
So I read the quote, and then you figure out if there's some way that you can apply it.
Okay.
Right? And if you can figure out a way to apply the quote, and I'm going to give you like 6 seconds to figure out what you're going to do, then you get advantage on your attack. If you can't, you get disadvantage. That's the way this works. All right? So here's the quote. You think back to the wise advice that Dunstan gave you in the past, and the thing that comes to mind when you hear his voice in his head is you hear him saying, baked lizards or boiled lizards? Choices. And by the way, the thing I tell you may be totally useless, but maybe you can come up with a way to use it.
And I sit there in my pseudo meditation state, thinking about possibly. Okay, well maybe if we, and then Dunstan. I remember now. I can possibly boil water and throw the boiling water on him, and maybe that might work. If fire doesn't work, maybe it's just temperature.
All right, so what are you going to do?
I look around for any sort of container items. Are there any sources of water nearby?
I guess there's like a broken glass in the trash that you could use to collect some water.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and collect some water, heating it up. Maybe I put some of the cooking oil on the top.
Okay. All right, so you're going to make like a container of like burning oil or something. All right.
Yeah.
Great. So that's going to take your turn to do that because the turn's only 6 seconds.
All right.
But if you attack with it, you'll get advantage.
Okay.
All right. So that'll be next turn that you'll get to make that attack.
I'll do that.
We're going to sort of liberally interpret this. If you can find some way to make it useful, then we'll let you we'll let you do it.
Okay.
And some of them are just going to think there's no way I can make that useful, but it's just random. And that means it is the monster's turn. The creature that is trying to sneak up behind Tara finally gets to her and tries to attack, and whiffs.
I laugh.
You just easily bat its pseudopod aside with your shield. It's like they're not even trying. It's so pitiful. And that brings us again to Finn.
I decide to divert back to the one attacking Terra just out of priority that I cannot go back to her family with a corpse. So I'm going to go ahead and attack that one. And since it's right there, I'm going to use Burning Hands, and I'm going to use my last 2 spell slots to do an augmented spell.
Ooh, all right.
So that is a DC of 15 instead of, or sorry, since I have no penalty, it's a DC of 16.
Oh, it rolled a 1.
All right.
And roll your damage.
Okay, so damage is 3d6 plus 4. So at least 7. 3, 6 is 9, 1 is 8, 12.
12 damage?
Yeah.
All right. It suddenly goes up in a giant conflagration, just whoosh, it's gone. There's just ashes left on the ground. And then you hear the squishing sounds of a blob on the roof of the building trying to digest the roof. And actually Paxton notices a deep rumbling sound that's not thunder. I'm not sure what it is, but you can hear somewhere in the distance a rumbling sound, and also you can see, all of you can see near the town, bright flashes of light and explosions of fire.
Must be the wizards.
The town is maybe
Wizards.
a quarter to a half mile away. And there are explosions of fire, and maybe it's hard to hear over the rain and the wind, but you think you might hear shouting.
This fire, does this look like magic fire that's the result of spells, or does it look like buildings are on fire?
Probably magic fire is the result of spells.
Okay.
Finn just went, so that brings us to Athelflaed.
How many of the blobs are left?
There's one left
just
on the
one
roof.
Okay.
You want to fling your burning oil at him?
Yeah, I want to go ahead and toss the
Broken glass of
broken
burning
glass
oil.
Of burning oil.
All right, make an attack roll.
All
Use
right.
your dexterity bonus for a thrown weapon, I guess.
Okay, dexterity's 3. Oh, I
And
rolled 4.
You have you have advantage though, so you get to try again.
Oh, okay. 17.
All right,
All
you
right.
strike it and roll 2d6.
2 and a 1. Great.
All right, so you singe it, but it's a good throw, but it's burning. But this round the fire didn't do very much. However, it does have flaming oil on it now, and it will continue to burn.
Huh, okay.
And that means it is its turn, and it decides to slink down the side of the building, and it takes more damage on its turn. Actually, if you want to, you can roll the damage if you want to roll again, because it's going to take damage every one of its turns.
Oh, okay. Do I roll the
2d6 again.
All right. 6 and a 3.
It is sliding down the side of the building, and that brings us to Paxton.
I want to step between the ooze and whoever the nearest person is and put my shield up
Okay.
to try to keep it from grappling anyone else.
All right, so I guess Finn and Tara are nearby, and you can sort of shield Finn. Tara's already got her own shield. And after you is Tara. What would you like to do? There's this creature sliding down the side of the building, and it's on fire.
Unsurprisingly, Tara wants to attack it.
Good.
She got a 23.
That's a hit.
8 plus 3.
Once again, you have destroyed another creature, and its insides flow out, and it becomes quieter around here. No more creatures sliming their way toward you. They're fighting still continuing at the town. However, in the distance, that rumbling sound gets louder, and you can see west of the town, probably a couple miles away, a giant worm-like shape bursts out of the ground and begins thrashing around on the dirt, on the soil. So this creature is just flopping around. It's a giant earthworm, and you've heard of these before. Paxton, I think you've probably seen one before at some point. But it's a giant earthworm flopping around on the ground. It's just making an enormous racket. And this thing is huge. So think, the worms from Dune, or purple worm or something like that, right? This thing is gigantic. And it's flopping around on the ground. Looks like it's not going to hurt the town or anything. It's just flopping around in the rain. And that is the end of combat. So what do you guys want to do?
I say we run towards town.
You run, everybody agree, running towards town?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So as you're running towards town, you can see that the combat there is slowing down. In fact, the fireballs stop and the shouting seems to calm down. And as you're moving toward town, you can see moving toward the west are a bunch of these blobs. They're moving away from the town now. As you approach the town, there are a bunch of guards. Some of them look badly bruised. You don't see anyone who's been killed. The townspeople are also out, sort of standing behind the guards with torches and pitchforks, ready to assist them. But mostly they seem pretty cheerful. They seem to have been victorious, and they're happy about it. Everybody is cheering, taking care of the wounded, but they seem to have been victorious in fighting off the blobs. Some of the guards and the wizards are discussing why they left. They're a little puzzled by that. It seems strange that they would have left at that point, because certainly there were plenty more blobs that could make their way through the city's defenses, but for some reason they left.
And they went westward?
They went westward.
Where the earthworm was?
Where that giant earthworm is still flopping around.
I say we go to the worm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as you head in that direction, one of the wizards says, What are you doing? You don't go near a giant earthworm when it's flopping around. You'll get crushed.
Well, why are all the blobs headed that way as well?
Now that I don't know, but I'd rather let the blobs know and not know myself than get crushed by a giant earthworm.
What kind of wizard are you that you don't want to go ahead and find out what the issue is?
I am a not flat wizard. That's the kind of wizard I am.
Can we roll like an insight check to see if he's hiding something from us?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
What's your insight bonus? I'll tell you.
Let's see.
Can we all do it?
Yeah, sure. What's Finn's insight bonus?
+1.
All right, and Tara?
1.
Paxton?
5.
And Athelflad?
4.
None of you think he's hiding anything. He just looks scared.
We know how to keep our distance.
Fair enough. Good luck.
Thank you.
So you march off to the west, and you can see these blobs moving ahead of you, and there's this giant earthworm flopping around on the ground. It's truly huge. You don't want to get too close. But as you get closer, it does seem to be the case that the blobs are trying to make their way onto this earthworm.
I say we
Onto the
just
worm?
stand back and watch how the blobs interact with the worm for a bit.
Yep,
I agree.
they
We
eat
can
it.
do that.
Yep.
They eat it. They eat it up. They gradually digest it, and it stops flopping around quite so much, and then just lies there, and then they eat it.
Do the blobs get bigger as they're eating it, or
Not
they just
visibly,
stay the
no.
same?
They look about the same.
Wow. Okay.
Is it bringing more blobs or like all the blobs?
So you can see now that you moved in this direction that there are blobs coming this direction from other directions. There are blobs moving toward this worm from the north and from the south and from the west.
Okay. I want to scribble a quick note. I wanted the note to say something along the lines of bring your main forces here. We have all of the enemy units, united. Bring fire. We can end this now. I give it to my owl and I send it back towards New Tower with instructions to find the high-ranking either guard or wizard.
So you stand and watch, and a few minutes later, your owl returns with a group of 7 wizards, and they all watch this feeding frenzy for a little while, and then they say, "Well, let's try some fireballs."
Yeah.
So they walk up to it and begin bombarding the giant worm with fireballs, and yes, it does end up destroying a large number of these blobs.
I'll climb onto a tree and assist with a fireball here and there.
All right, firebolt, you mean?
Firebolt.
Yes,
Yes.
right. All right. With some time, you are able to destroy many of these blobs, and at some point, the remainder just slip away. It's hard to see where they go. They seem to almost sink into the ground or hide underneath things, but many of them slip away. And the storm gradually starts to weaken as well.
Well, thank you for your help. I said to the
Thank
other
you.
wizard. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask the group if they were wondering if the storm. Does the storm have anything to do with the blobs? You think?
Seems like it.
Yeah,
It seems
the
like they
wizards will
seem
tell
to
you.
come out when those storms come out.
Yeah, the wizards will tell you that they seem to prefer to come out when it's wet.
Well, I think we're going to investigate out here a bit further. Thank you for your assistance. I will go ahead and come back to the magistracy and report after we have finished our investigation out here.
Excellent, thank you. All right, well, they walk off. you walk back to the town. Are you walking back to the town, or what's your plan? There's a bunch of dead blobs.
We should definitely inspect the blob graveyard to see if there's anything good in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we found a scroll with a rule of foresight last time.
Yes. All right. So you begin searching around the remains of these blobs. There's quite a few of them. I mean, we're talking probably hundreds of them around this giant worm. So there's a lot to search. But let's see. I'll let each of you make an investigation check. Actually, I'll just go ahead and roll them real quick. I got your investigation bonuses. Sorry, Finn. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm also going to spend about 10 minutes to recast my unseen servant, and I'm going to use my mage hand. So with those two and the owl above us looking around, shouldn't take too long to expedite through the bodies.
Yeah, I'll give an advantage on a check for that. So you're able to find the following things. You find 89 gold coins.
Ooh.
Sweet.
Nice.
81 silver coins. And 242 copper coins.
You know, Tara, I think that might be enough to buy those owlbear puppy twins.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see if you find anything else of interest.
Maybe we should just kill blobs from now on. This is definitely a lot more profitable than running wheat.
No, I definitely want to go back and also inspect the 5 that attacked us at the other place.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
All right.
Actually, I definitely have to walk back there because I didn't cast Unseen Servant until we got here, and I don't have the carrying capacity to carry all my stuff. That's why I have
So
a
your
floating
backpack's
backpack
back there.
behind me. Yeah, my backpack's back there.
I'd also like to inspect the temple a bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe clean it up a little bit.
How respectful.
All right. So you find 2 +1 arrows.
Nice.
The 2 arrows that are nice and magical, and I'm just going to say, you can practice firing one of them, and it's obviously +1. All right. And you find some nice horseshoes, very nice horseshoes. And that is it. Lots of gold and silver, a couple of really nice arrows, and some fancy horseshoes. Let's see if there's...
Does anybody have a bow?
Nope.
Nope.
So we should probably just sell all this stuff.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, Tara, did you ever have training with bows and arrows?
I'm not sure if I'm proficient in that. Let me sec.
If you're a fighter, you should be. Because those are military-grade weapons.
And I guess you also find the remains of a horse that used to wear those horseshoes.
Yeah, I am proficient in bows and crossbows.
I'm just crossbow.
If we save the arrows, do you want us to go get you a bow? Or no?
You
Because we
know,
could always sell them.
I might actually try to buy one because I have found that we could use some range combat, especially when our mage is passed out.
Yeah,
on the
or not
floor,
around.
And there's grease all over.
Well, that feels pointed.
Yeah, and I'll just
Not
go ahead
throwing
and say
shade.
that Paxton definitely was a pacifist whenever he was just living on the farm and everything, and now he's feeling like maybe this isn't a scalable solution.
All right. So you collect these items, and there's also this giant earthworm that has partially been digested, and it is lying here as well. And you return to the town with your findings. The townspeople are starting to clean up. Everything's wet, dripping. It's late at night by this point. You want to go to the temple and clean up a bit, you said? Look it over?
Just get the backpack back maybe and inspect the remains of the blobs that died there.
Before we head over there, I'm going to head... I'm just going to keep the owl ahead of us by about 120 feet, flying
sure
about
there's nothing else
100
there.
feet above us.
Yeah, there's nothing ahead of you as far as you can see. Nothing dangerous or no blobs moving around. Everything seems to have quieted down, and the storm itself is calming down now as well. Let's see. You don't find anything of interest in the blobs aside from 33 copper pieces.
Okay.
That's all you find. Those blobs were apparently just interested in eating a wooden roof.
That is still plenty, so that's 23. Well, shall we head back to Paxton's Inn, talk this over, hopefully, get through the night without another attack and maybe divvy up our gold?
Yeah, and divvy up the food rations too that we brought in from the island.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you
Get
brought
some
food.
rest.
Wonderful. We've been eating dry meat for weeks now.
I think we have enough money to have a nice dinner if we want it.
Okay, so you head back to the town. Back at town, as I said, everyone's cleaning up. You head over to Paxton's Inn, where they can provide you with a nice filling, old-fashioned meal. None of this fancy stuff, just the good stuff.
Okay.
So you have plenty of time to sit around and talk if you want to talk about anything.
I'd like to. I don't think we ever really got a formal chance to be introduced, but I introduced myself to you and everything. I'm Paxton. I'm a human.
You're introducing yourself to Athelflaed for the sake of the listeners.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry. So I'm introducing myself and telling her a little bit about my backstory, and I don't know. Did you two have a chance to introduce yourself, Tara and Finn?
Well, I certainly told her my name, but
Yeah, I think we were in the middle of a crisis at the time, so we had a short introduction.
yeah.
So I'd like to know a little more about what your goal is with the Broken River. Why did you come out this way? What are you hoping to find?
Well, I ponder how much I still want to say other than we really just
Definitely need to be better about being like, Tara, what are you trying to do at the river, and not just like, hey you.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I kind of give you a nod, like, yeah, we can kind of trust them. But it's still up to your discretion how much you want to say. You call the shots at the end of the day.
Really, we wanted to see if we could figure out what's happening with the river. Of course, everyone wants to figure out what's happening with the river, but we felt like we needed to be there, and also maybe see if the magistracy's involved.
Is there
We say that part very lowly.
So, Finn, you're a member of the magistracy, right?
Yes, well, it was mostly out of convenience more than anything else. See, originally, when we were friends as children, her family was actually the noble family that mine served. When my parents found out that I had the ability to actually do magic and cast it with affinity, or the affinity for it, rather, they went to her family under contract and got the money to be able to pay for me to study with the magistracy. Now I'm working off that debt, and at the same time I'm helping my friend because they won't let her, study these things alone.
So you're working off your debt, eh?
Yes.
Would you say that you're an indentured servant in that sense? Or if you wanted to, could you just leave Tara and go off somewhere?
If
Are
I
you
could,
legally bonded to her?
I wouldn't say I'm legally bonded, more as a bond of my word. It was something that her family chose to help out with and to go ahead and assist, but it's not something that I don't think they would persecute my parents who have been serving them. They might.
Okay.
He's free to go, but he's my friend.
Yes, I'm mostly doing this job mostly so that we can go ahead, so that I can help her. So I'm here mostly seeing what she wants to investigate. But now looking around, the magistracy is definitely doing something here. I would be very interested to find out what that is.
Yeah, I don't get a good feeling from the keepers expanding their borders into the free cities. That seems almost like an invasion. I don't take kindly to that.
I don't know if it's necessarily just an opportunistic thing. I mean, you saw the river with me. It's crazy.
This feels methodical.
Yeah, if you have Florelia,
Florelia, yes.
Yeah.
the head wizard, a keeper, is running the town, I'd be more open to the idea if the keepers were helping out the town. But if we have a de facto, a wizard is the de facto leader of the town, that's not just charity, that's politics.
That's true.
It doesn't mean it's not just an opportunistic advance on the free cities because of the river being in bad shape. But I am pretty interested in the river still. I feel like maybe there's more to see there. Although those little water monsters seem like they're gonna pose a problem.
Yeah, I absolutely have to find out what's behind that door. I'm not going to be able to move past it mentally until I know what's
I
in
am
there.
so glad you said that.
I would say let's not involve the Magistracy just yet. I'm sorry, I said Apple Flat.
Apple Flat, yeah.
Ethel Flad.
Flad.
Ethel Flad? Mm-hmm. Okay, got it.
Do you mind if we just call you Flad?
Yeah, that's fine.
I might just call you Ethel. Ethel Flad, if we went back on a boat, would you be okay with taking us back to where the temple was so that we may inspect that door further? And if we get nowhere, we can always just go to the Magistracy and speak with Florelia to see if maybe they can assist us somehow.
Yeah.
Before we go back, every time I tried to open the door, I felt some sort of powerful shock to my system that knocked me out cold every time, and I feel like, I don't know, you're a magical fellow. Maybe you might know of some special way to boost my resolve so that I can't be knocked out or something. So I need some way that I can stay conscious after touching that door handle so that I can continue to move it, because no one else can, it seems. I'm the only one who's able to actually open that door.
So you were the only one. Are you sure it wasn't a trap or a spell placed on the door? Were you the only one affected? Did you try to open the door? Did either
I tried
Sarah
many
or...
ways to open that door.
Yeah, and we couldn't do it.
But you were the only one that was being affected by it negatively?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, definitely let's go back. I can cast Detect Magic to see what's on the door. Maybe use my Mage Hand to try to move something behind it. We can definitely see what we can find. Yeah. As far as bolstering your own ability, there may be something in the library if I can go look around.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we're having a second to sit down and, actually talk, I can look over my my notes. What spell was I studying in the library?
I don't know. Whichever one you wanted to add to your list that you didn't already have. I don't know which one that was.
Can I add shield?
Sure, that's
Awesome.
first level spell, easy to add.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is where I tell the group that we didn't have much information about why it stopped. Brother Dunstan seemed to believe, or so let me change my voice here. Brother Dunstan seemed to believe that it had to do with evil forces in the world. We were being punished for something we did by the gods, but and Brother Ned never really talked at all. He kept silent, so there's not a lot of information there. But I wouldn't have any problem taking you back, and we can do some exploring, definitely.
What forces did he think were evil?
Can I call on wisdom?
I mean,
On this one, or is
yeah,
that
I
an
can just tell
attack?
you, he just thought that because people are bad, the gods were punishing them. That's it.
Well, let's rest for the night. Let's make sure that the town is okay. And head out back to that door tomorrow morning. Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah, I think that's a plan.
Okay.
Yeah, we might want to think of a way to make sure that we're safe from there are water blobs, you see, kind of like the blobs, but big and hairy.
Are they
and
also
they
afraid of
wanted
fire?
to eat Paxton.
Oh, they wanted to eat you?
They wanted to eat me, and they are afraid of fire.
Were you the only one getting attacked?
I was the only one who fell into the water.
Oh, okay, well, that may be more circumstance than anything else.
Yeah, I feel like it would have tried to gobble up anyone who fell outside of the boat.
Yep.
Well, did they seem to be afraid of fire like the other blobs we've seen so far?
Yep.
Oh, we can definitely deal with them then.
So the plan is you're going to retire for the evening. You need to pay another night's rent on your rooms, and I think it was, a copper piece a
Oh, we
night
got to
for-
divvy up our
Yeah.
gold,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, my room was cheaper than theirs. I
Yeah,
think.
maybe it was 3 copper, and I think yours was, a silver a night?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So-
Athelflad, where do you want to stay? Do you want to stay at the older inn, the Pilgrim's Rest, or do you want to stay at the fancy Magistracy inn that they're staying in?
I would normally want to stay, go all out, being that this is my first real venture, but kind of feeling I'm going to need that for later, possibly
Sure.
for supplies.
All right, so you're going to stay at the Pilgrim's Rest. I think it's 3 copper pieces for the night.
Okay.
Can we also say that we split our gold over dinner?
Sure.
Yeah.
Divide
Okay.
up the gold you've gotten. Sure.
Yeah, we got close to 90. That is $22.50 per person, and I'll take the lower remainder if you guys want. So you can all add $22.50 to your own.
He's just
So
converted
22
it all
gold,
to gold.
50 silver.
Oh, okay.
22.5, so yeah, you can say 22 gold, 5 silver, or something like that.
So the next day, the 10th of 6th month, 2007, starts with the whole town still soggy and dripping. Crews have been organized to drag the blob carcasses to the midden to the west of town. And repairs in some buildings that were attacked or partly eaten by blobs have already begun. The roads are muddy but passable. I guess are you taking your cart, or you just you're just continuing to leave it in the town, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So you make another trip over to the island, and this time I assume you take some oil with you and just keep a little fire going the whole way.
Yep.
And you row out to the island. What's your plan for scaling the cliffs this time? The rope is still hanging there.
I think we can still try the rope. Maybe
And the climbing equipment and...
Yeah, the strongest person goes first to the top so they can pull anyone up as needed.
Okay, so Tara's got her climbing equipment and her
Bad strength.
high strength.
Tara,
What is her
if
strength?
I leave all of my equipment
16.
here, can you carry me? I only weigh 35 pounds.
You could probably just climb on her back, yeah.
I'm going to do that because I'm -2 strength.
Do you have
Okay.
enough pittance for all of us?
I have 10.
Okay.
All right, well, let's just suppose that you guys take your time and you're very careful and you're not bothered by any blobs this time. So you manage to make it up to the top. You've planned it out carefully enough. So you make your way up to the top. Athelflaed, you're back in familiar territory.
Well, there's a temple we can stay for the night if you guys are planning to stay overnight. That's no problem. But I can show you around. Definitely nothing specific to the Broken River other than it's dried up and we used to they used to do healing here. But did you guys have any questions about the Broken River per se?
Can you take me to the building where this door is? I just want to walk
Sure.
around the building.
Sure. I can show you the door that Paxton got knocked out with, but was able to open slightly.
So you walk over to this door. Again, it's a door in a hallway. It's made of wood, although when you knock on it or touch it, it feels as immobile as though it were stone. There's a single handle in the middle of it, and above the door it says observers only.
Well, let
And
me
it
go
is
ahead.
just so slightly ajar. You can see a line in the dust where the door has just slightly moved.
Let me go ahead and do a test here. And I try to operate my hand within, 60 feet of me, but in a spot behind the door. Can it operate?
No.
It doesn't have the space to operate?
Well, you cannot operate a hand where you cannot see.
Oh, okay. In that case, I'm going to sit down and cast Detect Magic on the door in the meantime.
How long does that take?
That should only take about 10 minutes.
Okay.
So yeah, I do that. Is there anything? Like, is the door actually magic?
Yes, so you're going to cast Detect Magic on the door. The door is magic.
Abjuration.
Yes,
yeah,
I think it's
you.
Abjuration.
Okay. I got something else I can try.
So I have an idea. Whenever I touched that door, I felt like lightning bolts running through my body. And I feel like maybe if you all are feeling brave, if you could lay a hand on me and grab onto my body, I'm going to try to grab onto the door, and then you all pull me back so that even if I pass out, I can still open the door because you're pulling me and my hand's on the door.
Huh.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
I give that a try.
And
I'm okay with that.
possibly that may disperse the Constitution check.
Wait, isn't it a push though, or is it a pull?
It's a push.
Oh,
It's a push?
Well, even then, if for some reason you can open the door, even if you fall unconscious, we can keep your hand on the door and open it.
Yeah, just use my lifeless body to push the door open.
Exactly.
All right.
What school is it?
Abjuration.
Okay. I'm going to try one last thing. I'm going to call my owl to me.
Mm-hmm.
As an action, I'm going to dismiss her.
All right.
She goes into a pocket dimension. Then I place my hand on the door and I try to operate her behind the door. Within the rules, it just says, as an action, while it's temporarily dismissed, you can cause it to reappear in an unoccupied space within 30 feet. So as long as there isn't solid wall behind the door, and it's at least 30 feet, somewhere within 30 feet, she should be able to operate.
Nothing happens.
She doesn't operate?
No.
Okay. I'll make her operate next to me.
Okay, she appears.
That's quite powerful magic. It won't even let me move inside of it. Let's try your plan to see if we can move the door.
Okay. So I'm going to cast guidance on myself.
All right.
And then, second part of my plan is that I'm going to cast bless on myself, which gives me an additional D4 to any attack or saving throw.
All right.
But this lets me bless up to 3 creatures. Would I get any sort of additional benefit if I just concentrated it on myself and no one else? Like maybe a D6 or something?
No, it's just it only has the listed effect.
Okay. Then I am super blessed. All right. So that gives me 2d4s to add to this Constitution saving throw.
Great.
Plus, even if I pass out,
They're gonna
theoretically,
make you,
they should be able to push the door open with me.
Let's
All
see
right.
what happens.
Here we go. I stare at my hand and slowly bring it to the door. And then I'm going to try to, in my last moments of consciousness, if I do pass out, grab the door with both hands and put my body weight into it so that even if I go totally limp, I'm still grabbing the door handle.
Fair enough.
I'm imagining like Tara behind you and then Ethel flatting myself behind each of Tara's legs or your legs, just pushing you.
It's a conga line.
I'm ready to grab his hands on the doorknob when he passes out.
Good idea.
Do we need to do a strength check to make sure that we can hang on? Or?
We'll see what happens with him.
Okay.
All right. So Constitution saving throw?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh, no. It's a natural 1.
Oh no. And roll your 2d4.
It's not going to matter.
No, it's not.
It's not going to matter.
A 1 and a 1.
Oh.
All right. So Paxton immediately just goes limp in your hands.
I grab his hands.
All right. You grab his hands and try to turn the doorknob, but his hand just sort of flops around the doorknob. It doesn't do anything.
Okay. Well, let's try to wake him up.
He wakes up very quickly this time.
Okay.
Are you all cool with me just camping here all day and passing out,
Yeah.
and then you beat me awake on the
You think I
chance?
can chop it down with a hand axe?
I could also try to burn it, but I doubt magic works on it. Whatever protection spell was placed on this was very specific.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I say we give it at least 1 or 2 more shots. If we're not able to open it, let's go back to town. Maybe the wizards can help us. I would rather do this without their help because we don't know what the reaction will be.
I don't want them in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever's in here, it seems like it was meant for observers only. I don't know why I'm able to open it, but I don't know. It seems to be calling to me.
Maybe it's like
do you have
religious
observer bloodlines?
No, I don't know.
Do you know your family?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't think I've shared this with you all before, but I think I was kicked by a horse or something, and I don't remember anything past about 5 years ago. So I just kind of woke up in the Free Cities, and I've just been working as a wandering healer ever since, just going wherever I feel like I'm needed. So Paxton isn't even my real name. It's just a name that I chose that sounded like it fits in with everyone else. So I have no idea who my family is or anything like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and Brother Dunstan told me that the observers were extinct, but...
Well, how about this? You guys keep trying the door for a little bit. I'm going to try to use some detect magic again to see if maybe I can find anything.
Okay.
Is there any way for me to use detect magic to see? Because we know he can use magic. He has used magic before.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way for me to detect like a different kind of magic, or for me to detect to see if he has kind of magic that matches the door? Because the door's an abjuration spell, but it's
You're checking to see if Paxton has any kind of special magic on him?
yeah, like if he is an observer or any kind of like observer magic or bloodlines, something like that. Would I be able to use my spell to figure that out?
If there is some magic affecting him, you would be able to determine that.
Okay,
You wouldn't be able to determine his bloodline or anything like that, but if he's being affected by some kind of magic, then you might be able to figure that out from a detect magic spell.
Okay. I'll do that. I'll try to use it on him to see what I can find.
You detect on his head a very, very faint aura of enchantment or charm, but you don't detect anything else. It's like it's something that was once there and is not there anymore. Just his head has a slight glow of enchantment and charm.
from what I can tell, does it have something to do with the sword that we picked up before? I'm guessing not.
You can't tell for sure if it has
Can't
anything
tell
to do
for
with that.
sure. All right. I'm just going to finish the spell, say that I didn't find anything, and then just keep that tidbit to myself.
Okay. Are you looking anywhere else with the spell? Anything else you want to do before it expires?
With Detect Magic, no, it has a fairly short range. I already used it on the door.
Well, it also, I mean, you can walk around with it. It's not like it only stays in the place where you cast it. You can walk around with Detect Magic and continue to use it.
Oh, okay. I'm going to let them continue to try the door while I'll just walk the complex.
Okay. The water in the fountain has a faint magical aura. Just a tiny bit of magic is left in it.
Okay.
And abjuration magic. And the other than that, the buildings don't appear to have. They may have been some magic used in building them, but other than that, you don't detect anything magical.
Okay. I just simply grab a small vial of water.
Okay.
Bring it back with me.
All right.
And while Paxton's passed, I just pour it on his hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, your hands feel nice and clean.
Yeah. Whenever you wake up, I'll let you know. That was water from the fountain. It was the only other thing here that I saw that had magic. It was for the School of Protection, so I don't know how much that did for healing, which is, from what I understand, what it used to do. But it might help.
Well, Ethelflad can tell you that the water in the fountain used to be used for healing.
Yeah.
It was long before I got here, but Brother Dunstan was telling me that the people would come from far and wide to get healed in the waters, and they would thank the gods for doing so. And sometimes it worked, and sometimes it didn't.
Huh.
So Paxton wakes back up. This time, Paxton, you can hear almost a word when you look at that knob on the door. You can hear a word in your head. It feels like liar. Or pretender or something like that.
I don't like that voice.
No, it's not pleasant.
All right. I'm upset by that voice. And I'm moving my hand towards the door. And I'm going to cast Guidance and Blessing, so I'm adding 2d4s.
All right.
Come on, not a 1.
18.
Woo!
All right.
So I add a 1 and a 1, so modified 20.
All right. You keep your grip on the door and you put your weight against it and you turn the knob and you can feel a splitting pain in your head. And gradually the door starts to move just a millimeter at a time. And again, you're pressing with all your might, but you're struggling to stay conscious. And eventually the door opens.
Yay!
And we'll stop there.
Oh no.
No.
Dun, dun.